everybody. Please be seated. All right, what a great day for a celebration. Good afternoon. I'd like to warmly welcome you to the 2019 Integrative Biology Commencement Ceremony. All right. My name is Robert Dudley, and I'm a professor and chair of the Integrative Biology Department. First of all, before we start, a few small reminders. Silence all of your cell phones, please. If we hear a cell phone coming up, ring, I have Donald Trump over here in the wings. He's going to come and grab it. So put them away now. Second, I ask, no matter how much suspense and excitement grips you, please remain in your seats so that you do not block anybody's view. Third, limit conversation when speakers are at the podium so that everyone can enjoy the program. Please refrain from using noisemakers during the ceremony. All that being said, it is truly a day of celebration. Go ahead and cheer your hearts out for your child, relative, or friend. You all deserve it. All right. All right. All right. So today we mark an important rite of passage for our students. Everyone here deserves congratulations on a job well done. Our candidates for the Bachelor of Arts and Doctor of Philosophy degrees, their families and friends, and my colleagues, the Faculty of Integrative Biology. So let's start officially by giving ourselves a big round of applause. Now, the staff hates this, but I am going to go off script for several minutes. And I'm going to say something I think is important to everybody, but it's also a lot of fun. So, we are at the University of California, Berkeley, in the great state of California. All right. And California, we all like for a number of different reasons. And one of the great strengths of California is the prominence and continued growth of its immigrant population. In a great nation of immigrants. So, what I'm going to celebrate our common heritage, and for the benefit of some of those in the audience who don't speak English and don't understand a single word that I'm saying right now, I'm going to say a few words in Spanish and then in Mandarin of introduction and welcome. Buenas tardes a todos, caballeros, caballeras. Bienvenidos, somos muy felices que todos estén aquí hoy día para celebrar los cumplimientos, los logros de sus hijos, de sus parientes, de sus amigos. Es que riquísimo que ellos van a salir, los estudiantes van a salir de aquí con tantos años de educación de la mejor universidad pública en todo el mundo. Es fantástico. Y qué gran placer de escuchar la lengua castellana aquí en el estado de California. ¡Eso! 女士们、先生们，你们好，大家好。还有一个大的问题，为什么这个老外会说中国话？我跟你们说，我的老婆是中国人。从河北省来了，他在他的家人的非常小的农门的地方，他们说天不怕地不怕，就怕老外说普通话。非常对不起，今天你们都来给你们的孩子、你的朋友、你的家人恭喜，他们是太好的学生，在都世界太好的世界。非常非常好，你们都高兴，在我的以后我也很高兴，谢谢。All right, back to the script. So this is a joyful moment in all of our lives. The graduates have worked hard and navigated a maze of opportunities and challenges. Your family members are proud and probably breathing a sigh of relief. Your parents are looking forward to some newfound disposable income. As the father of 2 children, I can only dream about this moment. And the faculty feel a great sense of accomplishment. Their knowledge and skills have been passed on to a new generation. I feel it's appropriate to provide some context to the accomplishment of these candidates, mostly for the family and friends of the students. First, what is integrative biology? We are neither derivative nor disintegrative. Okay, we integrate. Our faculty study evolution, ecology, and organismal biology, and courses are offered in all of these areas. Their research is conducted all over the world and often is assisted by undergraduates. Second, what do you do with a degree in integrative biology? Well, our graduates go into all sorts of fields, from positions managing wildlife to graduate school to becoming tomorrow's health professionals. And third, are we any good? Berkeley's good, but what about this department? Here I'm happy to report that UC Berkeley, again, is ranked first in the nation in ecology, evolution, and organismal biology, and has been ranked as such for many years. All right. So our degree candidates are graduating from a top-ranked program and, of course, are graduating from the world's greatest public university. Yeah. Go Bears. So tomorrow, the landscape of your lives will have shifted dramatically. It will be both exciting and scary. As Berkeley graduates, we believe you have the intellectual tools, judgment, experience, creativity, and survival skills to be successful in whatever career path you choose. Your success here amply demonstrates this. Finally, I hope you'll stay in touch with the department. Send me an email. I'll give you a tour of all the exciting research labs and the hummingbirds and the tuco-tuco and all the other amazing things we have going on in the building. We have a website that offers multiple means of communication, including Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. IBM UC Berkeley, particularly in the face of declining public subsidies, talk to your reps in Sacramento, need your support now more than ever, and we are always interested in learning how our alumni are faring in their chosen fields. But turning to today's celebration, we have a fun, multifaceted program planned for this afternoon. I do want to give a special thanks to our undergraduate affairs staff and peer advisors whose service to our undergraduates have made this event possible. Please stand up, peer advisors and IB staff in the audience. All right. Wave to the audience. All right, thank you. I would now like to welcome to the podium Michael Botchan, Dean of the Biological Sciences and Professor of Molecular and Cell Biology. Dean Botchan is a prominent biochemist and molecular biologist, a world's expert in DNA replication, and is a member of the U.S. National Academy of Sciences. He's maintained excellence in our division through his strong support of undergraduate education on campus, the hiring of highly talented young faculty, and by navigating us through difficult times. Dean Botchan.
Following Robert Dudley is always a difficult chore for me, but I speak one language, sort of, English. Let me get serious now, and I hope that I can leave you with some words that you remember. First, I'm addressing mainly the IB graduates. And on behalf of Chancellor Christ and the Deans of the College of Letters and Science, of which I'm one, congratulations to all of you on your graduation. Welcome to the ranks of Berkeley alumni. Your experience here at Berkeley as students has been complex, with many layers to understand. And I want to reflect in certain ways on my own experience here in Berkeley. I was a student here many years ago, and I would like you, this is, as Robert said, is a very important day in your lives. You'll always remember it, and I hope some of the things I have to say will not take you too far down. Your experience here at Berkeley has many layers. There have been historic events that have surrounded you during the last years that you've been here. And it's hard to have the perspective of the moment as young people who are graduating to reflect on these important moments and to remember how they might, to think about how they might affect you in the future. Your parents sitting in the audience may now be wondering, where's all the time gone since you left home, and of course, what's next for you? And not at all reflecting on the past and what you've been through. Some periods are easy to process and live through, and others not. And these last years that you've been at Berkeley are, in my opinion, historic. And let me first reflect back to my early times at Berkeley, and then relate it back again to what I think has happened here that will affect you for the rest of your lives. In 1968, I was a graduate student studying for my PhD in Hildebrand Hall in chemistry. The national events that swarmed around us at the time, there have now been books written about the very year 1968. The Vietnam War and that's when I started my graduate career. The Vietnam War and tear gassing of student protesters, helicopters in the air, all events that actually led eventually to Lyndon Johnson, who was the president at that time, announcement that he wouldn't seek re-election. This is the first time he went on national TV and said, I'm not running again. He knew that his base was too low. The assassination of the man who was the soul of the civil rights movement, who saw the destructive influence of the 20 years in Southeast Asia, the Reverend Martin Luther King. When Dr. King came out against the war, this really was the sort of the coup de grace for Johnson, and he said, well, you know, I'm not going to try to win when I can't. And one evening in 1968, Martin Luther King himself was assassinated. And Robert Kennedy, the day that Martin Luther King was assassinated, Robert Kennedy was to give a speech in a African-American community in Indianapolis, and his staff told him, do not get out there, don't give a talk, because these folks haven't heard about the assassination of King yet, and your life is going to be in danger. Of course, Kennedy's famous talk actually said, no, I have to tell them what happened. He told them what happened, and instead of a riot, actually people started crying, including Robert Kennedy. Robert Kennedy himself, a few months later, when he was running for president, and Johnson was afraid to run against him, Robert Kennedy himself was assassinated in California when he finally had won the California primary and was likely to go on to become president. So these times that I lived through then, I had no real appreciation for the historic consequence of these events, nor how they would stay with me for the rest of my own life. And I can tell you that in my senior days, I've actually gone back to many of the feelings that I felt then about what it was like to live as a young graduate student and to be against the war and for civil rights, and they've come back to me in very vivid ways. So now I want to just mention a few of the things that you have lived through when you, in these years that you've accomplished a Berkeley degree in IB. First is the Black Lives Movement, the hashtag #MeToo movement, the rebirth of a new consciousness movement for a diverse definition of sexuality, including the LGBT rights and gay marriage. The Supreme Court actually said that gay marriage was part of the law of the land, which was something that, you know, is really something that it was a historic event. The free speech riots that were spreading across the country and those here, which reverberated back to the origins of the free speech movement here at Cal. We have a free speech cafe where I sometimes go in and look for my own picture in that wall, that mural that has all the students sitting outside of Sproul Hall in 1968. Okay, so if you've learned anything at Berkeley, irrespective of your political leanings, how to think on your own, it's been to how to think on your own and to have tools to learn. These learning tools are more valuable than the facts you've memorized and will help you to have concrete, mature discourse with yourself and others long after you've gone. Now, I don't know how many of you have taken the course that I used to teach, the MCB 102. Have any of you taken MCB 102? Well, let me tell you, long after, no one wants to raise their hand, but long after you've forgotten what the Calvin cycle is and the Krebs cycle is, You'll remember how to think and how to analyze thoughts. Okay, so let me move on and say that, congratulate you. You've done it. You've gotten your degree. So what was the degree worth? What is it worth to you, to your parents, to the taxpayer, to society at large? I sure hope you think that it's worthwhile, and I'm sure that many of you would say that it has been worthwhile. But let me just give you a few narrative points about why I think it's worthwhile. The dollars that you and your long-suffering parents have, and I don't mean that facetiously, I think that many of your parents have suffered in ways that they've told you about or not. In purely economic terms, it's a great investment. Countless studies show that you are better off investing in your own education than in stocks, real estate, or diamonds. Furthermore, a university training benefits society at large. Universities are engines of economic activity and progress. The research we do and the education we provide fuel innovation and economic return to society as a whole. And a university such as Berkeley is an engine of opportunity. Berkeley is a place where we try to level the playing field in our society where only talent and hard work are needed for entry. You've probably heard many of these truisms before, and some of them are actually cliches that are worth repeating over and over again. But here are a few facts that many of you in the audience may not appreciate. 1/3 of all undergrads coming from undergrads at Cal are coming from families that make less than $45,000 a year. Interesting. We have as many Pell students on Pell Grants as all the Ivy League universities combined. And 30% of our graduating class will be the first in the family to graduate from college. And I'm proud to say that as a kid from Brooklyn who grew up in Coney Island, many of you may have heard of Coney Island or even visited it, that I was the first kid from my family to graduate from college. Now, all right. In this year of political turmoil, I'm almost done. I had 3 minutes and I think I'm running over a bit. But in this year of political turmoil, in which it seems that half of the American electorate values ignorance over understanding, tribalism over tolerance, I'd like to say that in a democracy like ours, it's important that the electorate be educated. It's important that voters understand that climate change is real, a real danger to our planet, that evolution is a fact and not a hypothesis, that science should not be perverted for political ends. In a world slowly going mad, universities are still beacons of tolerance, reason, and civilization. So I'd like to ask for your support. And when I say support, I don't only mean writing checks, although it would help if you did some of that eventually, or even now, $5 would matter. And your envelopes, your mailboxes will be stuffed with solicitations from our development office. And if you've enjoyed your time here, as I hope you have, perhaps you'll look favorably on some of these requests. But maybe more importantly, and this is really important, and I'd like to leave you with this, we'd like you to spread the word that Cal is a great university, if you think so. I hope you do. And that California's investment in public higher education has been a great investment. Spread the word that in an economically and politically polarized and unequal society, the education that universities provide and the values they stand for are treasures that must be preserved. And in the coming November's elections, vote for legislators who feel the same way. And this is really a critical point in our transition here at the University of California, Berkeley. And a special thanks from us to your parents and families who have supported our graduates. You've given your children a great start in life. They appreciate it, and you should be proud of what you have enabled them to do. So graduates, we're proud of you, and go Bears!
Thank you very much, Dean Botchan. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker, Associate Professor Noah Whiteman. All right. Professor Whiteman arrived at Cal in 2016 after spending 6 years at the University of Arizona, first as an assistant and then associate professor of ecology and evolutionary biology. He completed an NIH postdoctoral fellowship in genomics at Harvard University after finishing his PhD on Galapagos birds and their parasites at the University of Missouri. His lab at Cal now studies the 450 million-year-old battle between toxic plants and the animal parasites that eat them. In other words, the very hungry caterpillar. Professor Whiteman was recently named an outstanding investigator by the U.S. National Institutes of Health, is an elective member of the American Ornithological Society, and is chair of the Committee on Equity and Inclusion for the Genetics Society of America. Please join me in welcoming this year's faculty keynote speaker, Professor Noah Whiteman.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Dudley. It is my great pleasure to be your commencement speaker today, and on behalf of my distinguished colleagues in the department, our staff, and our dean, please join me in giving a round of applause to the 187 students who've earned their bachelor's degrees and the four students who've earned the title Doctor of Philosophy. And it bears worth repeating that your UC Berkeley degrees in integrative biology have been granted from the #1 ranked program in ecology and evolution in the world. And although we greatly appreciate and respect our colleagues down the road at Leland Stanford Junior University, it is my job to remind you that they're ranked #4, which is great, and we're happy for them, but well, you know, it's not #1. All silly rivalries aside, and they are just that, you and your loved ones know that Berkeley doesn't do grade inflation. Your degrees are hard-earned. We know it, you know it, and your families and friends know it. You should be very proud of yourselves. Your degrees reflect sacrifice spanning many generations, and your achievement is also theirs. Before you leave campus today, I'd like to give you one last lecture, of course, on the evolution of life, and how the degree you'll receive today connects with the past, and more importantly, the future. I may even give you one more assignment, but it'll likely be graded pass-fail. Let's start at the beginning of beginnings, the tree of life, whose branches have been studied in detail by Berkeley biologists, has revealed that all of life on Earth can trace its origins to a single common ancestor that made its debut 4 billion years ago. This simple beginning is difficult to imagine given the profound diversity of life teeming on our beautiful and fragile planet. Now imagine chains of cell divisions across each generation, leading from that single ancestor to the present, to each of you, to the redwoods above us, and even to the eyelash mites you wish you didn't have. These chains split as each new species formed, leading to yet new chains. The fossil record captured in the hundreds of thousands of specimens housed in our own Museum of Paleontology on campus tells us that most of those species went extinct. If we focus on ourselves, it becomes clear that each of us is the product of an unbroken chain of cell divisions that began 4 billion years ago. Your chain and my chain didn't go extinct. Each of us, each of our lives is a highly improbable event, one that I probably asked you to calculate on an exam. Sorry about that. Your life, like all animal life, started out as an egg cell in your biological mother, I promise this is the grossest I'll be, that began as a chain sextillions of cell divisions ago in that common ancestor we share. In fact, my own mother is here today, somewhere out there. So let's give a round of applause for all the mothers out there. Wave, Mom. And speaking of mothers, there's a peregrine falcon mother and father, we can't forget the fathers, sitting in her nest at the very top of Sather Tower right now. These formidable predators are the fastest animals on the planet, diving from on high and slamming into unsuspecting birds below at over 240 miles an hour. This is impressive, but there's an older chapter worth telling. The peregrines wouldn't be there today without a little help from Berkeley's museums and researchers in integrative biology. The near extinction of the peregrine falcon in the 20th century and its glorious return in the 21st is a story of human redemption. This hopeful story traces its roots to our own Museum of Vertebrate Zoology, another jewel in the crown of the University of California. The MVZ, as we refer to it, houses a collection of over 14,000 eggs and nests sampled from birds from around the world over the last 150 years. On the one hand, you might ask, rightly, why anybody would bother to keep thousands of dead bird eggs locked away in cabinets. And one reason is that these specimens are a historical record of the environment, and answers to questions are contained in them that we have not even imagined asking. For example, in the 1950s and 60s, peregrine populations throughout the world plummeted, and nobody knew why. As researchers began to study this, one thing stood out. The eggshells of many birds appeared to have thinned rapidly starting in 1947, preventing mothers from successfully incubating them. And then over here, I have actual peregrine eggs from our collection, 2 of them, that were collected in 1899. And were used in the study, carefully set them down, and were used in the study I'm about to tell you about. Although DDT wasn't synthesized until 1874, its ability to kill insects was noticed in 1939, when it ushered in the end of malaria in the United States by killing the mosquito vectors. But in 1967, the first suggestion was made that DDT might be a hormone disruptor, impacting birds and even us by moving up the food chain. Fortunately, the mystery was solved in 1968 thanks to eggs like that from the MVZ. Scientists used them to create a time series that revealed a drop in eggshell thickness that began in 1947, when DDT was put to wide use. Subsequently, DDT was banned in the United States thanks to those eggs right there from the MVZ, and the stage was set for a captive breeding program of peregrines that led to their return to Sather Tower in 2017. Another bird wasn't so lucky. That's the so-called elephant bird, a relative of the ostrich. Elephant birds lived on the island of Madagascar and were the biggest birds ever to have lived, reaching 1,500 pounds and 10 feet in height. And I have a very special treat for you. There. That is an elephant bird egg. That's a subfossil egg that's probably over 1,000 years old. It represents the largest egg known from any animal that has ever lived, including the dinosaurs. It's the largest egg known from any animal. Prior to fertilization, the cell inside the egg was the largest of any animal, as you can imagine. These eggs are now as rare as hen's teeth. Perhaps 50 or so exist in collections worldwide, and they're more valuable than moon dust. Why did they disappear 1,000 years ago? Nobody knows for sure, but their disappearance coincided with the arrival of humans into Madagascar. After all, a single egg is equivalent to 150 chicken eggs. That's a lot of omelets. This pressure, along with that from traders and colonizers, eventually spelled the demise of this remarkable bird. What lessons can we learn from the return of the peregrine and the demise of the elephant bird? In one case, a chain of very large cell divisions stretching back 4 billion years was snuffed out. In another, eggs stored in the MVZ paired with state-of-the-art analyses representing the very best of integrative biology, led to the revealing of how pesticides were killing off peregrines. In both cases, humans affected the trajectory of evolution, and in the most recent ones, we redeemed ourselves by saving the peregrine from certain extinction. Your degrees in integrative biology have given you the skill set required to make similar connections between the past, the present, and the future that will be required to solve the problems, known and unknown, faced by our planet. And that brings us to your last assignment. As you know, human-caused climate change is here. The fossil record tells us that a strikingly similar climate crisis to the one facing us now occurred about 250 million years ago, when our atmosphere suddenly warmed. The warming was likely caused by volcanic eruptions that ignited vast coal deposits, releasing huge quantities of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and triggering a greenhouse effect so catastrophic that 95% of all species in the oceans and 80% of all species on land went extinct. Only a few lineages made it to what is now known as the Great Dying, including that fragile chain leading to each of us. Fossil fuel combustion in the last few hundred years has set Earth on a similar trajectory, and now the fate of all species is squarely in our hands. Actually, it's squarely in your hands. I hate to break it to you, but you, graduates, and those rising in the ranks behind you are our only hope. I'm channeling my best Princess Leia right now. The good news is that given your innate talent and academic achievements, I know you are up to the task. We are presently within a window of opportunity lasting around 10 years that will still allow us to tip the scales toward only modest warming and to prevent another great dying. And as I said, you're up to this challenge from working with you in our labs, in the field, in Morea, in our museums. I truly believe it, and I'm deeply inspired by your potential. The world is in good hands. In closing, I hope I've reminded you and your families and friends of how a degree in integrative biology can help us understand complex, thorny problems that cut across disciplines, levels of biological organization, and link basic and applied science. You are well positioned to take on your next challenge and fulfill your destiny 4 billion years in the making. Thank you for allowing me to give you your last lecture. I hope you'll never look at scrambled eggs in quite the same way. And when you become filthy rich and make a huge donation to Berkeley, we might let you hold that egg and long enough to take a selfie. So congratulations to graduates on your degrees, and good luck to you all.
Thank you very much, Professor Weidman. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you the graduate student speaker, Joyce Sherry. Joyce, will you please come up to the podium? Joyce completed her Bachelor's of Science in Plant Sciences at Cornell University and then took a gap year to study museum curation of natural history collections at Harvard University. She joined IB as a graduate student in 2014. In her 5 years at Berkeley, she was an NSF Graduate Research Fellow, a Chancellor's Fellow, a Dissertation Year Fellow, and also earned the Department Outstanding Graduate Teaching Award. Her dissertation teases apart the evolution of development of the strange anatomy of climbing vines within a phylogenetic context. Please join me now in welcoming Joyce, whose speech is entitled, "Everything You Want is on the Other Side of Fear."
Hello, hello. Thank you very much, Chair Dudley, for that introduction. And before we begin, I just want to acknowledge the families and the friends of the graduates. Let's give us a round of applause. And of course, to the 2019 IB graduates, a round of applause for us. When I found out I was going to have the great honor of speaking with you all today, I experienced a moment of panic. A rush of fear overwhelmed me because being an integrative biology commencement speaker represents the culmination of my two greatest fears. Number one, the fear of public speaking, and number two, accepting the reality that I do belong here. I've been thinking a lot lately of why these are my two greatest fears. And I think it's because if I overcome these barriers, there is nothing standing in my way of fulfilling my dream and my purpose of becoming a professor. By overcoming these fears, I will embark on a new journey filled with unexpected obstacles, but also life-changing triumphs. Today, I will share some stories with you to offer encouragement and contemplation on what awaits us on the other side of our fears. Glossophobia, also known as the fear of public speaking. The first time I realized I had this was during an undergraduate presentation at Cornell. I was asked to give a short talk on the crops of Easter Island, and boy, did I bomb that talk. So much so that I don't have a proper memory of the event. When I finally looked up from the floor, this I do remember, when I finally looked up from the floor, all of the faces in the audience were stunned. They were so blown away by how bad my presentation was. It's like I had fallen straight on the floor on my face. No one even bothered to ask any questions, probably to spare me from embarrassing myself some more. I left that talk feeling ashamed and exposed. When I came to graduate school at Berkeley, I had to make a choice. Was I going to permanently be a horrible public speaker? Or would I dare to step into my fear? I chose the latter, and that led me on a scary path, giving talks at bars, competing in the UC Grad Slam, giving science outreach videos on YouTube. By leaning into my fear of saying the wrong thing and trying to say it how other people said it, I found my voice, and that turned out to be my best voice. The second barrier was feeling like I just didn't belong in academia. Constantly asking myself if I was smart enough, how could I blend in maybe? In the early stages of my academic career, I had two jobs. Like everyone else around me, I was a scientist during the day, but in the after hours, I was a cultural researcher. All of these new keywords I kept hearing, new podcasts, different books and different authors, writing them all down in my phone. I remember frantically Googling, where is Nova Scotia? At my first IB holiday party, I ate my first tamale because I'm not from California. I had never seen anything like this before. I've never even heard this word before. I picked it up. I took a bite of the entire dish, including the corn husk. Here I was, not knowing how to blend into this foreign environment where everyone was discussing what's the best sauce for the tamale, and I was eating corn husk. But just like public speaking, I had a choice. Do I quietly Google how to eat tamales and what the 5 countries of Scandinavia are? Or do I step into my fears and admit that I just don't know? Once again, I chose the latter. I began asking for help, asking for clarification as many times as I needed, admitting outright if I just didn't know something. Then something beautiful happened. I learned faster, I learned more about science and culture, and I also learned that I had my own unique experience to bring to the table. I tell you these stories today to encourage you all to reflect on your own fears and how they get in your own way of achieving your purpose and fulfilling your dreams. And I ask you to contemplate on your choices, to be afraid or to step into your fears and to take a risk. By being committed to challenging my fears, I fought my way through graduate school, and I made it here today with you all. If you have any doubt that you aren't capable of facing your fears, I'm here today to assure you that you can and that you are capable. How do I know this? Because you are the 2019 graduates of the #1 department of its kind in the world from the #1 public university, and you know that. This tells me that at some point in your journey, you had to face your fears to accomplish this great feat. Were you nervous to seek mentorship? Did you get a paper rejected from a journal and feel really bad? That's my grad students over here. Did you take a chance just by being an IB major in general? To be here today, you had to be courageous. As you continue on your prosperous career, remember to feel the fear, but do it anyway. Congratulations.
Thank you, Joyce. Now I would like to have our undergraduate student speaker, Esmeralda Garcia Orozco, please come up to the podium. As the daughter of two Mexican immigrants, Esmeralda grew up in Ontario, California, with the goal of going to college to continue the journey of the American dream and to expand the presence of minority women in traditionally male-dominated fields of study. While at Cal, Esmeralda did research in the Vasquez Medina lab, working on establishing food security and diversity at her co-op as a food manager, and fell in love with fieldwork and birding after taking our course, Natural History of the Vertebrates. All right. Starting in the fall, Esmeralda will be pursuing a Master's of Engineering in Biopharmaceutical Processing at the Keck Graduate Institute at Claremont. Her speech today is about defining your own standards of success by crafting a career you are passionate about. Please join me in welcoming Esmeralda to the stage to give her speech entitled 1,000 Things.
Let me just fix this because I'm 5 feet tall. Okay, can you guys hear me? Yes? Okay. Hello! Wait. First of all, hi, Mom! Hi. Okay. Formalities are out of the way. I would like to start by congratulating the PhD students and undergraduates earning their degrees today. I have no doubt you all worked very hard to be here. I can see it in your eyes. To be precise, the bags under your eyes. Such is the nature of being a student at UC Berkeley. We all have 1,000 things to do. Coming to the UC Berkeley campus, there is a high standard to work toward, strive for, and achieve. We reach these standards by joining as many clubs as possible, maximizing the number of units we can take, and nervously cold emailing professors for a shot at joining one of their labs. You guys. In sum, creating our list of 1,000 things to do. The stress of feeling like we always have something more to do is what drives us to be the students we are. Hardworking, inquisitive, determined, stubborn, and dedicated. Throughout college, my mother repeatedly told me, "Ella que abarca mucho, no aprieta tanto." This translates roughly to she who holds a lot cannot squeeze tightly. The heart of my mother's dicho, or saying, is painfully true, as I'm sure my peers can agree. Trying to handle 1,000 duties, 1,000 responsibilities, 1,000 commitments is a taxing and tiring affair. And things will probably slip through the cracks. For many like me, first-generation students who are sons and daughters of immigrants, the pressures of going to college were built upon the idea of securing success in our futures. The fact that I never stopped talking or asking questions was luckily not only as annoying, but also a good sign. My family said, "This one asks a lot of questions. She'll definitely go to college." Thus, the pressure to go to college mounted up, and here I stand today. My first 2 years of undergrad, I bounced between the computer science and medical school routes. I followed these career paths both because I was unsure of my interests and also because of the promising buzzwords surrounding these professions. Internships, secure job, and good salary. I knew that I had to succeed, and I was determined to do whatever it took because my parents came to this country so that I would get all of the opportunities that they did not. people who rely on us most are our strongest motivating forces and the reason we work so hard to succeed. However, the definition of success is vague and subjective, and I fell down a rabbit hole of piling on too many extracurricular activities, studying material I was not completely enamored with, and failing to reach out for a helping hand. Abarqué mucho y no pude apretar, proving once again that mothers are always right. I could not hold tightly onto my batch of 1,000 things. Through this experience, however, I learned a valuable lesson about collaboration, teamwork, and community. Things have only been 1,000 times harder to do when I have relied solely on myself. And not everything requires collaboration, but sometimes holding 1,000 things is easier when you have multiple hands. We can only grow stronger as a community if we work together to help each other and learn from each other. I have seen the positive effects of teamwork in my research lab with Professor Jose Pablo Vázquez Medina when we have long discussions about how to troubleshoot an experiment. I have experienced the positive effects of community by seeing my own identities represented more and more in STEM. So it is crucial that as we move forward in life, we think about our communities, how we can engage in them, both to help ourselves when we need a hand, and how we can give back to help others and future generations. Okay, you know how I said my mother was right? Well, she was wrong. I'm sorry to expose you like this, Emma. We can talk about it later. My experiences at Cal, and specifically within the IB department, have led me to discover that when you found your passion and you devote all your time and energy into it, you can feel like you are doing 1,000 things, but they are all interconnected. The 1,000 mundane details that you will have to do throughout your life will carry a different weight considering your passion for them. You can do 1,000 things when you found your passion, when you found what brings you joy and sparks happiness for even the smallest of reasons. For me, this happened when I took a different approach to my education and deviated from pursuing paths surrounded by someone else's conjectured definition of success. I believe the strongest definition of success is the one you design, because that is what will define your happiness at the end of the day. In my case, I find success in hiking a mountain to find a bird that I have never seen before and adding it to my life list. Or perhaps success for me is even enduring the minuscule details and long process of a Western blot to yield results that will help the broader picture of my research lab. Today I see my fellow graduates glowing with pride and happiness, radiating brightness into the future. From the bottom of my heart, I congratulate you and your friends and families for reaching this moment together. I hope that you take this energy into the future to find your passions. Find a community with which to stand in solidarity, to challenge the status quo, and be revolutionary. And finally, stretch out your hands to help your community hold 1,000 things. So, to counter my mother, I say, when you find what you love and are passionate about, you'll be able to do more things. Maybe even 1,000 things. Thank you.
Thank you, Esmeralda. So one feature that distinguishes Berkeley from most other universities is the active and integrative combination of education and research. And it is our great pleasure now to present the awards for research and academic achievement and for service to the university and faculty of the department. First, we have the Franklin Henry Award. Franklin Henry was a professor of physical education and human biodynamics at UC Berkeley for 40 years. He made important contributions to the fields of human cognition, motor control, and exercise physiology. His legacy at the university offers recognition to talented undergraduates in human physiological performance and health research. This year's Franklin Henry Award goes to two students, Ali Kalantari and Sigrid Quintanilla. Ali, will you please come forward? So Ali was nominated by Professor George Brooks. His honors project studied the effects of nutritional intervention on rat behavior and brain biochemistry following traumatic injury. Ali also demonstrated an aptitude for human physiology through his thoughtful questions in classes such as human physiology and exercise and environmental physiology. A transfer student from Santa Monica College, Ali is grateful for the opportunities for hypothesis-based research that he had through the Brooks Lab in his classes. After graduation, Ali will start as a researcher at UCSF to further develop his skills as a scientist and to conduct basic and translational research on the nervous system. Congratulations, Ali. Sigrid was nominated by Professor Caroline Williams, who describes her as one of the most driven, curious, hardworking, and talented undergraduates that she's mentored in her lab. Sigrid's honors thesis entitled Aerobic Scope of Wing Polymorphic Female Cricket Gryllus firmus included developing an assay to measure the maximal speed and oxygen consumption of crickets running on a treadmill and correlating the results to other physiological characteristics. Sigrid will continue in the Williams lab this summer studying aerobic scope of polymorphic crickets. She's currently applying to medical school and has plans to volunteer in a hospital in LA. Congratulations, Sigrid. Next, we have the Joseph LeConte Award. This is named for a faculty member who was one of the first 5 professors at Cal in the mid-1800s and who taught geology, paleontology, zoology, and natural history to generations of students. The award is given to students who show excellence in the pursuit of natural history and organismal biology. This year's Joseph LeConte Award goes to Amy Sakazaki. Amy, please come forward. So Amy is nominated by Professor Todd Dawson. Her research studied the vulnerability of both tropical and California native plants to water limitation by helping to develop a new optical assessment of drought tolerance. Amy's motivation and leadership are noted by faculty, graduate students, and peers. One of her favorite IB memories was taking Professor Dawson's plant ecophysiology lab class, where she worked with friends on her own research project. Shortly afterwards, she joined the Dawson Lab and worked with, quote, some of the greatest mentors on the planet. Thank you, Todd, Roxy, Claire, Clarissa, and Ilana. All right, congratulations, Amy. Our next award honors one of the most wonderful and accomplished professors ever to teach on the Cal campus, our own Marion Diamond. Marion was a world-class expert in development of the brain, how experience nourishes the brain, and how the brain's functions can keep from deteriorating as we age. She was a proud Cal grad and was named Alumna of the Year for her prominence and her contributions to the education of literally dozens of generations of students. She was also named the country's Professor of the Year. The Marion Diamond Award is presented to students who exemplify what Marion has meant as a role model and a leader in research, teaching, and especially community leadership. This year's Marion Diamond Award goes to Kayla Monham. Kayla, will you please come forward? Kayla is nominated by Professors Caroline Williams and Marla Feller and by academic advisor Zachary Chestnut. Kayla's honors thesis with Professor Feller, entitled Investigating the Influence of Visual Experience on the Morphology, Patterning, and Connectivity of Neurons in the Mouse Retina, showcases her skills in cell and developmental biology. She has also been an invaluable resource and mentor for students as a returning IB peer advisor, having applied just 2 weeks after declaring her major in her sophomore year. Kayla remains inspired by the enthusiasm her IB professors and GSIs bring to class every day and the passion that they show for their own research. After graduation, Kayla plans to study the neural circuits of pain and addiction in the Margulis lab at UCSF before applying to MD, PhD programs. Congratulations, Kayla. Next, we present a new award for excellence in herpetology and zoology. This award recognizes a student with exceptional research and academic records in the field of herpetology, or more broadly, zoology. This year's zoology award goes to Molly Caldwell. Molly, will you please come forward? Molly is nominated by Professor Eileen Lacey for her exceptional performance in animal-related coursework such as animal behavior, wildlife ecology, community ecology, natural history of the vertebrates, and mammalogy. Her honors thesis, conducted in Professor Justin Bracheris' lab, is entitled Patterns of Wildlife Activity and Predator-Prey Dynamics in a High Tourist Area. Her lab mates noted Molly's natural ability to pick up and apply new skills, and her research is praised as on par with the graduate student level. Molly credits her URAP and field lab class experiences with helping her to realize her passion for wildlife research and fieldwork. After graduation, Molly will be working with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife and will be applying to wildlife ecology graduate programs. Congratulations, Molly. Next, we present our departmental citation. This award is given to a single student who epitomizes accomplishments in research and scholarship in the department. We had a tough field this year, as we always do, but we are pleased to report that the departmental citation this year is being awarded to Madeline Zercher. Madeline, will you please come forward? Madeline is a dedicated researcher and scholar. Pursuing simultaneous degrees with IB in environmental science, Madeline has successfully split her time between 2 majors, 2 labs, and multiple research projects. Maddie was nominated by Professor Leslie Hlusko, who lauded her intellectual strength, scientific drive, and contributions to manuscripts and projects for which Maddie is a co-author. In addition to her work with Professor Hlusko, Maddie completed an honors thesis in environmental sciences with Professor Steve Beisinger entitled Variation in Bat Species Richness and Activity over the Northeastern Iowa Landscape. She is grateful for all the support and enthusiasm from her parents, grandparents, and Sam, all of whom are in the audience today, as well as her advisors and peers. After graduation, Maddie will start a PhD in the Department of Ecology and Evolutionary Biology at UCLA, studying behavioral ecology of mammals. Congratulations, Madeline. And congratulations to all of our award winners. At this time, I'd like to ask all of the students who have become members of Phi Beta Kappa, the Prytanian Society, or the Honors Students Society to stand. All of these students have been elected to these societies based upon recognition of their academic excellence. Phi Beta Kappa, Honors Students, Prytanian Society. That would be a no? Okay, there we are. Okay, sorry. Yeah, okay, gotcha. All right, congratulations. Please be seated. So, lastly, we would like to acknowledge and thank all of the undergraduate students seated on the stage as they have completed a year-long honors thesis project. Can the honors students please stand? So this program requires an organized research project that culminates in a written thesis and public presentation of their research, as well as a minimum grade point average of 3.3 overall and in the major. They will receive IB departmental honors. On behalf of IB staff, faculty, and students, our warmest thanks for your valuable contributions to the vitality of our academic community. Please be seated. Okay, we now come to the part of the program for which I imagine most of the candidates and their families have been waiting, the granting of the degrees. I ask that you remain in your seats and keep the noise to a minimum. We have engaged a photographer who will take a great picture of each and every graduate. Please do not charge the stage or otherwise come forward to take pictures. We would now like to present the students who are completing their doctoral degree this year. All right. Please welcome my colleague, Professor Caroline Williams, to the podium to present the candidates.
Okay, will the candidates for the degree Doctor of Philosophy please rise or wave? I congratulate all of you for your achievements on behalf of the faculty of the department. Each candidate will be hooded and presented a scroll by their faculty sponsor. Okay, the first student is Joyce Sherry. Joyce is being hooded by Chelsea Spett. The title of her dissertation is The Evolution of Development of Vascular Cambial Variants in a Large Genus of Neotropical Lianas, Paulinia. Joyce developed a bioinformatic pipeline to generate novel and variable molecular markers, which are utilized to generate the first broadly sampled molecular phylogeny of Paulinia. She tested the morphology-based infrageneric taxonomic system and modeled the evolution of the diverse fruit morphologies along the phylogeny. She also integrated traditional wood ontogeny techniques with modern molecular phylogenetics and comparative methods to explore the evolution of development and the unusual wood morphologies in Paulinia. Congratulations, Joyce. After graduation, Joyce plans to pursue a postdoctoral scholar position. Okay, the next candidate is Clarissa Fontes, and Clarissa is being hooded by Todd Dawson. The title of her dissertation is Tropical Plant Hydraulics in a Changing World, Implications for Species Distribution and Vulnerability to Drought. Clarissa studied the importance of plant hydraulic strategies for species distributions in the tropics and response to warmer and drier conditions. After graduation, Clarissa plans to pursue a postdoctoral scholar position. Congratulations, Clarissa. The next candidate is Huanjie Shuang. Huanjie is being hooded by Robert Dudley for Daniela Kalfa, who could not be here today. The title of his dissertation is Direct and Indirect Translational Control of mRNA Concentrations in Bacteria. Huanjie's research focused on how bacteria achieve such efficient and productive gene regulation. He studied two different aspects of gene regulation, the localization of small RNA and the feedback of translation on transcription. He found that small RNA can penetrate the densely packed nucleoid, potentially regulating the nascent mRNA, while his model demonstrates that ribosomes affect the transcription and degradation of mRNA with negative cooperativity. These results provide key insights for synthetic biology and bioengineering. After graduation, Huanjie will go into industry. Congratulations, Huanjie. The next candidate is Catherine Wilsterman, who is being hooded by George Bentley. The title of her dissertation is Regulation of the Female Reproductive System in Comparative Mammalian Models. Catherine's dissertation identifies novel mechanisms by which the female reproductive system is regulated. Her research uses in vitro and in vivo methods to study mammalian reproduction, with a particular interest in ovarian function. After graduation, Catherine will start a postdoctoral scholar position at the University of Montana, studying altitude adaptation and function of the placenta. Congratulations, Catherine.
Will all doctoral students please stand? By virtue of the authority vested in me by the President and Chancellor, I grant you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Integrative Biology. All right, congratulations. We will now begin announcing the names of the graduating seniors. But first, for the family and friends in the audience, let's make sure you are ready to cheer on the graduates. First, let's hear from everyone who traveled here from another state or country. Okay. Is there anybody here from Southern California? All right. How about Northern California? All right. Now let's hear from everyone who thinks today's graduates deserve their degrees. All right. Okay, I think we're ready. So we always try to correctly pronounce every student's name, but please accept our apologies in advance for any errors. Will Professor Eileen Lacey please come forward to take her position at the microphone to my left to read the names? And will Professor Todd Dawson please come forward to present the scrolls to the first group of graduates?
All right, everybody ready? All right. Ready? First up, Maddie Zurcher, Madeline Zurcher. Congratulations. Esmeralda Garcia Orozco. Molly Caldwell. Kayla Manum. Amy Sagasaki. Annie Tang Chen. Grace Mary Chuang. Isabel Marie Carolyn Tan. Alexis Tran. Jonathan Q. Charles Brian Altza. Sigrid Quintanilla. Ali Kalantari. Mohammed Safari Doost. That's okay. Kian Talier. Tae-woo Jean Kim. Christy Dang. Nashida Shetty. Melanie Baral. Umoga Pathi. Elizabeth Applegate. Samantha Lee Finn. Cody Limber. Manusi Liberty Alexis Siha Ceballos. Ceballos. Crystal Chan. Cindy Kai. Mira Sathiras. Joanna Amick. Aya Khaled Elshire. Julia Roshan Johanus. Noemi Ramirez Reyes. Linda Angelica Herrera Zamora. Name Colette. Isabel Motaderi. Yasmin Marty. Okay. Jether Aaron Sungdoan Espinosa. And the other is Jether Amos Espinosa. With these guys, yeah. Mohammed Razin. Siri Brown Sudweeks. And friend. Catherine Laverman. Joyce No. Okay. Bianca Ruby de Anda Guillen. Elizabeth Ann Boville. Joyce Yu. Sinareth San. Cheng Nguyen. Allison Tom. Katrina John. Nikki Garavi. Gardelio J. Mantuhak. Brian Lee. Miali Bloomhard. Crystal Lan Trong. Chow Pham. Michelle Huang. Janelle Abela. Karen Chow. Dean Fan. Alex Kim. Vanessa Veronica Diaz. Roger Lynn. Andre Dervy. Alexander Dow. Hasina Moman. Aditi Seth. Parumjot Punesar. Simran Dillon. Okay. Arjit Adhikari. Weeru John, is that right? John. Akash Karmoor. So I'm now ready to hand over duties to a set of colleagues. Will my colleague Jim McGuire come to the podium? And Rasmus Nielsen, Professor Rasmus Nielsen, will join him with the scrolls.
All right, is this thing on? Carrie Fang. Su Yun Elisa Byun. Janice Luong. Emily Long. Aspen Schwind. David Cadena. Michael Ha. Romana Brennan. Christina Isabel Paquette. Nicole Apodaca. Madeline Kidd. Jacqueline Rose Comitter. Alyssa Haig. Dina Hamer. Rebecca Morgan Hurwitz. Hannah Farrell. Lauren Haley Wood. Lee Ann. Is that the whole thing? That's all it said. Catalina Leanne Penn. Jalen Renee Mendoza Noble. Sadaf Sajodi. That's a lot. Bazuda Dia Chowdhury. I do okay? Claire Sujin Bong. Katrina Uy. John Pak. Diane Chung. Oh, Diane Chung. Evan Chang. Lincoln Lam. T.U. Chi. Johan Kim. Calvin Sun. Nathan Shin. Jordan Dean Rosendorf. Victoria Kayla Sardillo. Malika Amin Katarali. Jerome Luigi Kwaseramu Nair. Joyce Salino Aquino. Madusha Pereira. Joshua Paul Santiago. Rochelle Elaine Yap. Calvin Lamb. Taylor Liu. Bia Santos Lima de Moraes. Quinn Nguyen. Pachua Su Lor. Shirley Lai. Allison Chow. Nuvleen Duliwal. Alin Holiday. Kaine Wong. Micah Joy San Agustin. Sonia Sunitha Raghuram. Dan Zhang. Lynn Maido. Cheyenne Junae Hasildo Canizares. Amanda Marie Phipps. Caroline McGuire. Ya Fong. Faith Tsai. And now I'm going to turn over the microphone to Professor Noah Whiteman, and Professor Tom Carlson will also come forward.
Julia Marie Wickstrom. Tammy Wong. Chelsea G. Alexandra Howell. Mika Post. Sydney Izenwugo. Alex Howe. Natalie Aceves. Stephanie De Melena. Bushra Bam. Michelle Chang. Veronica Sydney Chang. Kim Yen Win. Joshua Rivera. Daisy Han. Shochai Subrama Nyan. William Otoyo. Emily Nevins. Ella Sun Jihan. Daniel Sun. Rebecca Alexander. Hans Lee. Aiden Thomas Flynn. Hugo De Orio. Allison Yip. Rachel Schneider. Emily Ritter. Andrea Miraz. Anna Faruqi. Christiana Jordan. Alexander Felix. Jeannie Kim. Esther Cho. Madison Chen. Julianne Quintu Do Nguyen. Sarah Yi. Bunsi Putel. Malini Putel. Thomas Yongwan Lee. PJ Kumar. Kimberly Nielsen. Kanza Kusro. Ali Downs. Ilemana Amadaji. Lauren Martinez. Vivek JJ Narayan. Tia Onowe. Zachary Quigley.
Okay. Graduates, family, and friends, thank you all for participation in this joyous and memorable event. I have a few announcements before we confer the Bachelor of Arts degree. First of all, we'd like to invite you to the reception at Lower Sproul Plaza just outside of this auditorium after the ceremony. We've asked faculty members and Dean Botchan to meet you there. At this time, we ask that the guests please remain seated while the faculty and graduates file out. Please let our graduating students leave the auditorium first. Now, what we have been waiting for. All students, please stand. All right. by virtue of the authority vested in me by the President and Chancellor, I grant you the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Integrative Biology. You may now move your tassels to the left side of your mortarboards. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the class of 2019. All right. Yeah. This concludes our commencement ceremony. Thank you, and go Bears!